Chapter 13, Animal Language. This is an excerpt or a part of the story of Dr. Dolittle, the doctor who could talk to animals and treat them. So let's read. It happened one day that the doctor was in his kitchen talking with the cat's meat man who had come to see him with a stomach ache. "Why don't you give up being a people's doctor and be an animal doctor?" asked the man. The parrot, Polynesia, was sitting in the window looking out at the rain and singing. She stopped singing and started to listen. "You see, doctor, you know all about animals, much more than what these here vets do. That book you wrote about cats, why, it's wonderful. I can't read or write myself, or maybe I'd write some books, but my wife, Theodosia, she reads your book." In this part of the story, the cat's meat man, the man who brings the meat for the cat, he's talking to Dr. Dolittle one day in his kitchen, and he's having a stomach ache, but he tells the doctor that you stop treating people. You understand animals so well. You've written this very nice book, which I cannot read and write because I cannot, and my wife, she reads, and she tells him the stories. And he's saying that why don't you become an animal doctor? You will be definitely a better doctor than all these vets, the animal doctors around their place. So at that time, it was raining outside, and the doctor's parrot, whose name is Polynesia, she was sitting and looking and singing. She stopped singing and just started to pay attention to their conversation. Let's continue to read. "Well, it's wonderful. You know the way they think. And listen, you can make a lot of money doctoring animals." He says you can make a lot of money. You know how the animals think, and you can make a lot of money by being an animal doctor. "I'd send all the old women who have sick cats or dogs to you. All the farmers who have lame horses and the weak lambs, they'd come. Be an animal doctor." So he is convincing this cat's meat man, he's convincing Dr. Dolittle to become an animal doctor rather than a people's doctor. He says that all the women he knows who have got sick cats and dogs, he will send them to Dr. Dolittle. And also the farmers who have got lame horses or sick or the baby lambs, they are weak, he would also send them to Dr. Dolittle. He says, "You will make a lot of money, and please be an animal doctor." When the cat's meat man had gone, the parrot flew off to the doctor's table and said, "That man's got sense. That's what you ought to be." That means, he says, the parrot came to the table and said that man, that cat's meat man, he's got a lot of sense. He's saying the right thing, that you should be an animal doctor. Be an animal doctor. Give the silly people up. If they haven't brains enough to see you're the best doctor in the world, he says that give up these silly people. Don't become an animal, don't become a people's doctor. Be an animal's doctor. They all should know that you are a better doctor. You're a very good doctor. "Oh, there are plenty of animal doctors," said Dr. Dolittle. Said John Dolittle. "Yes, there are plenty," said Polynesia, "but none of them are any good at all. Now listen, doctor. Did you know that animals can talk?" "I knew that parrots can talk," said the doctor. So Dr. Dolittle says that there are already so many animal doctors, then why should I become? She says, the parrot says, Polynesia, she says, there are many, but they are not very good. And you know that the animals can talk? Then the doctor replies, yes, I know that parrots can talk because they copy the way they talk, the human language. Oh, we parrots can talk in two languages, people's language and bird language, said Polynesia proudly. If I say, Polly wants a cracker, you understand me. But hear this, Kaka, wee, Fifi. Good gracious, cried the doctor. What does that mean? Is the porridge hot yet? In bird language. So now what the parrot tells him that the birds talk two languages. There is people's language and bird language. Now when the parrot says that Polly needs a cracker, the human being understands. But when he talks in the bird language, does the human understand, or does Dr. Dolittle understand? No, he doesn't. He says, what does that language mean? Then the parrot replies, it is that is the porridge hot? Porridge. Okay, so he's saying that in the bird language, he's asking, is the porridge hot? My, said the doctor, you never talked this way to me before. Doctor says, you have never spoken to me like this earlier. You wouldn't have understood me if I had, said Polynesia. Polynesia says that you wouldn't have understood if I had spoken like this before. Tell me some more, said the doctor. All excited. He was very excited now to listen to the bird language. And he rushed over to the dresser drawer and came back with a book and a pencil. Now he wanted to note down everything, so he brought everything from the dresser's drawer and the notebook and a pencil to write down. Now don't go too fast and I'll write it down. The doctor says, I'll write it down. Don't speak too fast. This is very interesting, something quite new. Give me the birds A, B, C first, slowly now. He says, this is very interesting. I'm feeling very excited to learn the bird language. And he says, help me to write down the beginning, the starting ABC of the bird language. But you have to be very slow. So that was the way the doctor came to know that animals had a language of their own and could talk to one another. So before that, the doctor didn't know that animals have their language and they could talk to each other. But now he came to know. At tea time, when the dog Jip came in, the parrot said to the doctor, see, he's talking to you. When in the tea time, during the time of tea in the evening maybe, when the dog, Dr. Dolittle's dog, his name was Jip, he came inside, the parrot told the doctor, see, he's trying to talk to you. Looks to me as though he was scratching his ear, said the doctor. Doctor said, but it looks to me as though he is scratching his ear. But animals don't always speak with their mouths, said the parrot in a high voice. The parrot tried to tell him that animals always don't speak. When they speak in their language, talking, they can even do some action to tell you something. They talk with their ears, their feet, with their tails, with everything. Sometimes they don't want to make a noise. Sometimes animals don't want to make a noise, so they talk with different parts of their body. Do you see now the way he's twitching up one side of his nose? The dog was twitching one side of his nose, so the parrot tells the doctor to notice that. What's that mean? Said the doctor. What does it mean? That means, can you see that it has stopped raining? Polynesia answered. The dog is trying to tell that now it has stopped raining. After a while, with the parrot's help, the doctor got to learn the language of the animals so well that he could understand everything they said. So now the doctor started to learn all the language of the animals. As soon as the cat's meat man had told everyone that John Dolittle was going to become an animal doctor, old ladies began to bring him their pet pugs, poodles. These are variety of different breeds of dogs who had eaten too much cake, and farmers came many miles to show him sick cows and sheep. The cat's meat man told everyone that Dr. Dolittle is now become an animal doctor. So the people who came to know old ladies who had animals, dogs, who had eaten too much cake or maybe some other problem, and the farmers also who had sick cows and sheep, they started bringing their animals to Dr. Dolittle. See, he was so famous. One day, a plough horse was brought to him, and the poor thing was terribly glad to find a man who could talk in horse language. So one day, a plough horse who pulls the plough, ploughs the field, was brought to him, and that horse was very happy to know that this doctor understood the horse language. "You know, doctor," said the horse, "that vet over the hill knows nothing at all. He has been treating me 6 weeks now for spavins." Now, spavins is a problem in the leg of the horse. Okay, a kind of an infection, a disease there. "When I need a spectacles, I am going blind in one eye. But that stupid man never ever looks at my eyes. He kept on giving me big bills. I tried to tell him, but he couldn't understand a word of horse's language." So this horse is telling the doctor that vet who's across the hill, he is very stupid, and he was treating him for spavin, an infection in the leg, but actually the horse was actually getting blind in one ear. The horse needed spectacles, glasses to wear. And so he said he doesn't understand anything, that doctor doesn't know anything. "Of course," said the doctor, "I'll get you some at once. I would like a pair like yours," said the horse, "only green." So the Dr. Dolittle tells him, "Of course, definitely I'll bring you spectacles." So the horse says, "It should be like your spectacles, only green in color." "Certainly," said the doctor. "Definitely," he said. "Of course I will bring it. Green ones you shall have." "You know, sir," said the plough horse, "the trouble is that anybody thinks they can doctor animals just because animals don't complain. As a matter of fact, it takes as much cleverer man to be a really good animal doctor than it does to be a good people's doctor." The horse tells the doctor that everybody thinks that they can treat animals only because animals don't complain, they cannot speak, so they think they can treat animals. But it is much easier to treat people. It is not as easier to be as good as you are an animal doctor. "Anyways, when will my classes be ready?" the horse asked. "Next week," said the doctor. Then John Dolittle got a fine big pair of green spectacles, and the plough horse stopped going blind in one eye and could see as well as ever. And in a few years' time, every living thing for miles and miles got to know about John Dolittle, MD. So the doctor finally brought him, after a week, brought the horse the green spectacles, big green spectacles, which after wearing, the horse stopped getting blind and he could see very clearly. And in a few years' time, John Dolittle became a very, very famous doctor to whom animals and birds from far away would also come to be treated. And he became an MD.